Welcome back to Nature Speaks. Yes, helium is used especially in solar telescopes where a vacuum-tight telescope would be too heavy to carry into space. When you breathe in helium, you would discover that the pitch of your voice and the tone of your voice would be distorted a little bit. Firstly, hydrogen gas and helium gas eventually escape through the Earth's gravitational field and head off into space. With helium balloons, you would have noticed that if you leave them in a room for about a week, they start off clinging to the ceiling, and by the end of the week, the balloons are on the floor. This is because the helium atoms escape through the balloon, through the skin surface of the balloon. They are literally one atom in diameter. When you release a helium balloon, under 10% of the air or the gas is helium as a rule. Into the outside air, it will move upwards because it is lighter than air. Yes, because the inflated balloon starts off far less dense and heavier than air, it is pushed upwards by atmospheric pressure. Yes, air pushes in all directions, even upwards as well. At higher altitudes, the balloon expands as the pressure inside the balloon becomes greater and greater than the air pressure outside. Have you ever wondered what happens when you send a helium-filled balloon off into the air? All you see is this balloon going up and up and up until it is out of sight, carried by the winds or whatever pressures there might exist to destinations we have no idea about. But as the balloon goes up into the air, and as it spends time in that atmospheric region, eventually something gives, usually the balloon skin. The balloon explodes, and the helium that has not yet escaped, plus the remaining air, zoom out into the thinned atmosphere. What happens to the balloon? Well, the helium heads out into outer space. The other gases in the balloon join the atmosphere, and the balloon skin itself, well, who knows? It disintegrates or it pops out of the side and sinks back to the earth eventually. Helium balloons work by the same law of buoyancy. In this case, the helium balloon that you would hold in your hand, tied through by a string, is floating in a pool of air. And as the helium balloon begins to rise, it displaces a pool of air. And as long as the helium plus the balloon is lighter than that pocket of air that it finds itself in, it will always push up, penetrating, going higher and higher. As long as it is lighter, it will ascend higher and higher. Recently, I observed a father buying a balloon for his daughter at a charity fair. She insisted on a particular one. And as I watched her asking her father for this particular pink balloon, I wondered why. And the father insisted on buying a different color. Eventually, the daughter began to cry. And I know from personal experience, when your daughter cries, something happens inside you. And this father bought her the pink balloon. After a little while, the daughter was asked by the father, "Why didn't you want another color balloon?" He said, "Well, if you look carefully, all the girls are sending pink balloons up." And so in the daughter's mind, she had conceived the idea that it is the pink balloons which are the ones that have the potential to go up into the air. The father, realizing this misconception, he held his daughter in his arms and took her to the vendor who was selling the balloons. And he began to chat with him. And out of his discussion, he asked him the question, "Tell us, will all the balloons fly in the air if you let go?" And the man turned to the father and said, "Strangely enough, today, all the people are buying pink balloons. But it is not so. It is not that only pink balloons will go up into the air. And the father took out a little money and paid for a different color balloon. And they made his daughter hold that balloon in her hand, and she let go. When she let go the different color balloon, it soared as high as the pink color balloon. And the father held the daughter in his arms, pressed her to his chest, and it says, "Baby." It's not the color of the balloon that makes it soar into the sky, but it is what's inside. Many times in life, the success of people and the heights people reach in life is not really the color of their skin, it's not really their physical environments, but it is what's inside their very hearts, their soul. It's what you are packed with, what drives you, what motivates you. That is the thing that makes you succeed and go forward in this life, higher than what anyone could have imagined. I remember memorizing a particular phrase and a powerful statement which said, "Higher than the highest human thought can reach is God's ideal for His children." Higher than the highest human thought can reach is God's ideal for His children. It is God's plan for us to soar the skies like helium-filled balloons. It is God's intention. God has created us with the mechanism that is needed to facilitate that high rising. The question that comes to my mind is, if that is the case, why so few people rise to the occasion and make a success of their lives, not only spiritually, but otherwise as well? Yes, a helium-filled balloon can make any color balloon rise. It doesn't matter, dear friend, what your circumstance might be. It doesn't matter whether you were born in poverty or obscurity. It doesn't matter what your educational background might be for now. It doesn't matter how much of money you have. It's not external factors really that determine how high you rise. There was one man who said very aptly, it is not your aptitude, but it is your attitude that determines your altitude. Yes, attitude is something that comes from the inside of you. But today when I think about helium-filled balloons, I wonder what God has to say about this concept. I discovered that God wants us to learn something much more than attitude. God wants us, yes, to have a good attitude, but He wants us to be filled with that which can give us the most beautiful, positive attitude we can get. When we get back, we will discover the vital spiritual lesson from helium and helium-filled balloons. Stay with us.